Mm. So take in a comfortable seat, whatever that means for you, and just start to settle in here. So we're going to start with our breath and roll from there. And take a moment, maybe let your eyes start to close as you pay more attention to your breathing. And see if you can trace the air in through the nose, down the throat, and into the deepest part of your lungs. And as you exhale, follow the air in reverse all the way out the body, maybe noticing the temperature a little warmer than when it entered. And take a few more of those nice, long, intentional breaths. And maybe take a moment to observe your posture. See if there's space to grow slightly taller without being too rigid in your spine, and encouraging the shoulder blades to melt away from your ears. And take a few more of those nice, expansive breaths with even longer exhalations. Taking one more complete breath here. And as you breathe out, option to draw the chin toward your chest, maybe pause with the head hanging heavy, and then go into your half neck circle side to side. And you can take this at a pace that feels good in your body. Sometimes slower can be nice to just really encourage the opening of those muscles along the sides of your neck. You might choose to lift up through the chin and think about drawing small circles with the tip of the nose. And rewind the opposite direction a few times. And when you're ready, keep your ear over to the left side. We're going to float the right hand by your hip. You can actually reach the palm down toward the ground and maybe start by flexing at the wrist up and down a few times. Maybe start to rotate at the wrist with the fingers spread nice and wide. You can also tuck the thumb in and then wrap your fingers around the thumb and then start to draw fists with your wrist. Or circles, rather. Couple of breaths. And you're welcome to keep going with any movement in the arm, maybe adding movement of the head as you reach out the fingertips. Another option you might try on is sweeping the opposite arm behind your back and grabbing your forearm anywhere that feels good. You're going to lift through the center of the chest and slide the shoulder blades down the back. Maybe float the chin. Perhaps start to wiggle the jaw. Breathe and take some slow movements with the head in any directions you choose. You might find a place that you want to just pause and take a few breaths, dissolving any tension or tightness. Take one more moment here. And as you breathe out, go ahead and release. And just notice for a moment one side versus the other. And then we'll switch. So ear to the other shoulder, other hand's going to float. Perhaps you start with some flexion at your wrist, pointing the fingers up and down while reaching the palm away from the body. And you might add your circles, your spread, or maybe with the thumb tucked and the fingers wrapped around the thumb in a fist. And any other movements that feel organic at this time. An option to take the opposite arm behind your back, grabbing the forearm anywhere from the elbow or down by the wrist. Your chest is going to lift up as you breathe in, and then you can float the chin if that feels good in your body. Option for some small movements here with the head, maybe just the jaw. Doing your best to spread and create space between the front of the shoulder. Maybe just one or two more breaths. And exhale and release. Hands can rest on the lap. Chin can revert back to the chest. Taking a moment to let the head be heavy once again. With an inhale, slowly trace your gaze up toward the sky. And then exhale, lower back toward the chest. One more time with your breath. Inhale, lift the gaze. And exhale, lower. This time, inhale and reach both arms high to the sky. Really lengthen through the sides of the body. Option to interlace the hands and press the palms up, actively stretching. And then maybe rock over to one side, keeping your sitting bones grounded here. And come back to center, rock over the other way. And do that a couple of times, your pace. Opening up the side body. And next time you come back to center, let's release the hands, cactus the arms, broaden the chest. I'll do that once more. Inhale, reach it high. And exhale, take your elbows wide. And this time you're going to reach up with a breath in. And as you exhale, turn to the left, swivel the chest, and then find a twist here. So maybe the front arm comes over to the opposite thigh. You're still looking over the back shoulder, encouraging the twist with your gaze, and finding a few full belly breaths. And on the inhale, reach back up and face the front. And then starting with the head, look over the opposite shoulder, let the chest follow, and then let the arms fall where they may. As you breathe in, find length through the top of the head. And as you breathe out, maybe swivel a little deeper and take the gaze even farther over the back shoulder. Inhale, reach up, face forward. And let's rock over to one side. So option to have that bottom hand pressing down into the ground, grounding through both sitting bones. You open up the spaces between the ribs. You might bring the top hand to the back of your head. Maybe gently press the head and hands together and peel open the upper chest toward the sky. And as you exhale, rotate the chest down toward the earth as you reach to the tip of the elbow. And do that a few times. Inhale, rotate from above the belly button and upper chest. And exhale, swivel down toward the earth. Another round when you're ready. You breathe in, we're going to float all the way up and over to the opposite side. And take a moment to press down through the bottom hand, but relax your bottom shoulder away from your ear. Notice how much space you can create in those intercostal muscles between your ribs. And then option to connect hand at the back of the head. Maybe gently press them together with a breath in. Swivel the top armpit up toward the ceiling. And then exhale, rotate down toward the ground. Twice more, keep going. Inhale, rotate open. And exhale, swivel to the earth. One more round, moving with your breath. And we'll go side to side. So inhale back to center and then all the way up and over. You can keep the arms rocking overhead here a few times as you shift from side to side. Another option is to sweep the arms across the horizon, reaching the fingertips away from the body and then peeling open the chest as you arrive. Just keep it going, whichever version you like today. Just flow from side to side with your breath. One more time each way. Last one. And from here, you can take an easy forward fold. So you might just have the fingers on the earth in front of you. If it feels accessible, you might walk the hands a little farther forward, perhaps coming lower to the forearms. Feel free to bring blocks underneath hands, forearms, or even the forehead here. And focus on taking expansive breaths into the back of the lungs while relaxing your head and neck. Couple more full breaths. Doing your best to allow a softening on the exhales. Maybe add a little rocking from side to side, shifting your weight from one hand or arm to the other. A little rotation in the torso here can feel good. Maybe one more deep breath, option for stillness at center. And then slowly uncurl your way back up to a seat, taking one breath there. And then we're going to shift to our hands and knees. So coming to your tabletop position. Take a moment to really spread the fingers wide, shoulders stacked over the wrists, knees under the hips. And you're just gonna add your circles here with the hips, however large or small you'd like. You might take your time as you go around the edges of those circles, noticing what parts of the body are waking up. Reversing the circles. Perhaps curling the toes under and shifting the movement forward and back a few times. And you're welcome to go a little side to side with the hips toward the heels. Notice how it feels to curl the tailbone down toward the earth in this position, really opening the lumbar back, low back area. And then we'll come back through to our hands and knees, and we'll take a moment to warm up the wrists. So you might choose to just spin the hands so thumbs turn to the top side of your mat, fingers to the left and right. And then just press down all the way into your knuckles and the fingertips as you shift your weight from one hand to the other. I like to relax the head here, just allow any tension to melt off the back. And you can, of course, keep going side to side a little longer, or take a moment to pause and maybe rotate the fingers in the direction of the knees and thumbs to the long edges of your mat. Here you can actively press down through the hands and maybe shift your bum back. This often intensifies the stretch, so don't feel like you have to take it to an extreme. And if you'd like to add movement in the spine here, some cat and cow can feel good as well. Couple breaths. Finish that next exhale. And then release the hands one at a time. Option to shake them out. Perhaps you do one more with the wrist, this time palm facing up, back of the wrist all the way down. And you can choose how much pressure you put on that hand. You might open and close your fingers of the palm that's facing the sky. When you're ready, switch it out. Other hand, fingers pointing back toward the knees, or even the opposite hand works too. And let's undo that. You're going to come up to kneeling. And if you want to sit on a block, you're welcome to. You can also stay high on the knees or tuck the toes and lower the hips back toward the heels for that stretch in the bottom of your feet. Feel free to come to the tops of the feet as well. So for this next one, go ahead and take a breath in. Open the arms nice and wide. Feel that space across the chest. And as you exhale, sweep the left elbow underneath the right. And option one, you're grabbing opposite shoulders. I want you to squeeze your elbows together and lengthen the tips of the elbows away from the body. So you're broadening that space between your shoulder blades. You can keep the arms here with that intention, or you can squeeze your forearms to touch. Some of you might bring the palms together as well. If this feels like too much, just come back to the Macarena arms. We're gonna squeeze the arms together and then lift the elbows and look up. And then continue to squeeze the arms together, elbows away from the body as you round just the upper back, elbows toward the bell. Do that a couple of times. Inhale, lift up, look up. And on the exhale, round just the upper back, so not so much hinging from the hips. And just one more this side. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, round. When you're ready to release, you're going to take the arms wide once again. If you have the toes tucked, you might untuck the toes and come to the bottom of the feet, or tops of the feet this time. Remember which arm you had on top and go ahead and sweep the opposite elbow underneath. So option 1, you're holding opposite shoulders. Option 2, the forearms are squeezing together. And 3, maybe the palms connect. When you're ready, we're squeezing the arms, lifting the elbows up and away from the body. And on the exhale, still lengthening the elbows away from you as you start to dome the upper back. 2 more, moving slow with your breath. Inhale, look up and lengthen. On the exhale, find that rounding and space between the shoulder blades. Last round, full breath in, still squeezing arms together. And exhale, find that rounding. When you're ready to release, unravel the arms. Take the arms nice and wide. Take up space. And as you breathe in, you come high onto the knees, arms up toward the sky. And on the exhale, cactus the arms, open the chest. Do that once again. Inhale, reach high. Exhale, nice and wide. So for this next one, you're welcome to use a strap if you've got it. If not, you can clasp the hands behind the back. If you have a towel here or a t-shirt to extend your reach, that's great too. And last but not least, you can use forearms. So whether you've got hands interlaced or holding onto something, you're going to drive the knuckles down and feel like you're trying to rip your hands apart. Oftentimes, the most sensation here is in the upper chest. Notice if your ribs want to flare. See if you can keep working the front of the ribs together and let the opening come mostly from the front of the shoulders and upper chest. You might continue to look forward here if that feels good for you. Some of you might slightly lift the chin, broadening the throat without creasing the back of the neck. Couple breaths here. Another option is to start to fold with an exhale at your hips and lift the arms up and away from the body. Maybe the crown of the head comes down toward the ground, but keep the weight on the head light. With each exhale, notice if you have space to move the hands farther away from the body. And when you're ready to come out of it, we're going to slowly rewind the same way we arrived. You can undo the hands if you haven't already. And if it feels good, maybe sit back on the heels with the palms up for a moment. You can ditch the strap if you were using one and take a second here to close your eyes. And just observe any sensations that might be arising. Maybe one more breath. And then we'll shift into embryo pose or child's pose. Embryo pose, knees can come together, arms back by your sides, palms up, front of the shoulders melting down to the ground. And the head can be relaxed. Know that you can always support the head or even behind the hips and between the heels. We're encouraging those expansive belly breaths, feeling the opening and in the back side of the lungs. And this is a place you're welcome to stay a little longer. Alternatively, take your knees nice and wide. Toes are going to stay touching and arms are going to reach out to the top of the mat. Few deep breaths. You might add a little movement side to side, shifting your weight from one hand to the other, or one hip to the other. And if you're not already, you're invited to take extended child's pose, knees wide, arms reaching to the top of the mat. You might turn the palms both up to the sky, but press the forearms down into the earth. Here's where you can keep the left palm facing up and then slide the right fingertips in toward the right knee. Use those fingertips to press down and rotate your chest away from the ground. You can keep your head floating here in line with the spine. You can also relax it on that bottom bicep like a pillow. Another breath. And on the next breath in, reach both arms to the top of the mat. Palms can stay facing up. Let's keep the right palm to the sky and slide the left fingertips closer to the left knee. Use the left hand to press down and spin the chest away from the ground. Again, getting heavy on that bottom forearm while reaching the fingertips away from you. The next inhale, both arms reach forward. Palms can be up or down, your choice. And if you like, you can bend your elbows, connect the hands, either just the fingertips, perhaps the palms and thumbs to the nape of your neck. Depending where your elbows are, you might try walking elbows farther away from your knees, but a little closer to your ears. And then press down through the backs of the arms, let the chest melt closer to the ground with the head relaxed. And the next breath out, gently come back through to hands and knees. Let's adjust the knees under the hips and start by straightening the left leg to the back of the mat, toes on the ground as you press through your heel, really stretching the back side of the leg, waking up the toes with some forward motion. And then here's where you're going to float that leg, add some movement, pointing and flexing and rotating the ankle. And then notice how it feels to flex your toes down and really press the heel to the wall behind you. So feel the muscles of the leg active. And remember what this sensation feels like. We're going to do it in a standing version later on. Keep pressing the earth away with your hands, floating the chest a little higher. You might even feel the muscles along your back activate. And if you want to challenge the balance here, opposite arm reaches forward, thumb to the sky, really elongating from the fingers through the hips and out the toes. Option to stay here. Maybe you bend the back leg and reach for the foot. Some of you might catch your foot or ankle here. If so, press them in toward one another. You press down into the ground. And then take your time, release back to all fours and do what you need here. Wiggle the hips, cat and cow the spine. Take a moment, reset. And then right foot will extend to the back of the mat with the toes grounded to start. Actively press into the hands and reach the heel away from your body. Then maybe wake up the toes with some forward and back motion. And as you feel ready, you might lift that leg to about hip height. So notice my heel is not high to the sky, doing kind of this banana back action, but keeping your hips level and spine aligned. You can add the movement of the foot, rotating, pointing and flexing, and then find that push-up position in the arms. Press down through the ground. Keep the back toes down toward the earth, and maybe the opposite arm floats. So creating kind of this T shape with the body. Lengthening some fingers out the top of the head and through the heel. Again, maybe you hold and breathe here without holding the breath, or bend the back leg and reach for the foot. If you've got that connection, hand and foot are pressing into one another. And then we're slowly releasing with control back to center. And a moment to shake it out. Know that you can take child's pose at any point if you need to. And if you're ready, we're going to shift into downward facing dog. So tuck the toes, lift the hips, and go ahead and pedal the feet a few times or warm up in your dog, however you choose. A couple options might be to rock toward a plank position and then shift back to downward facing dog, maybe bending the knees a lot. and then launching forward. You might play with a little rotation. So as you bend one knee, you can rotate the chest to look under the opposite arm. Maybe linger there and then take it to the other side. A few more breaths. And perhaps take a moment to just be still in down dog. You can peek at your feet. Make sure they're wide enough that your face could fit between them. Actively press into the hands. See if you can lift your tailbone even higher to the sky and chest a little closer to the thighs. As you breathe in, let's look forward. Bring the hands and feet closer together for a forward fold. Bend the knees, relax the upper body, maybe cross the arms at the elbows. And let the spine get some traction here with a little sway. Option to nod the head or gently shake the head. And then we're going to release the arms. You're going to stay in a forward fold. And if you've got a block here or even a sturdy water bottle, take the block underneath your left hand in front of the face. You're going to bend the left knee. And as you press down with the bottom hand, reach up with the top. And notice how much you can open from the center of the chest here. You can bring that top hand to the base of the spine, palm on the body. With that connection, continue to open across the chest. Another breath, lengthening from head to tail. And as you exhale, slowly switch. Top hand comes down. You're going to bend the right knee, same side as that bottom hand, and swivel the other arm high. Actively reaching the fingertips apart. Maybe the top hand connects with the base of the spine, palm on the body, and then use that connection to peel the chest open even further. One more breath. And on the exhale, gently release, fold forward. You can keep the blocks near the top of the mat as you uncurl all the way to standing. Hold the last to rise. And once you're there, let's add our shoulder circles. Really taking the shoulder blades all the way around your full range of motion, both directions. And then start to ground down through your feet. Reach all the way around and up with a breath in, and exhale, hands back toward your heart. We'll add our forward fold with an inhale, reach up to the sky. Exhale, start to bend at the knees, hinge at your hips, and fold forward. Inhale to your half lift here. I want you to feel those muscles along your back working. If you can do that with hands on shins, great. If you can't quite feel that connection, hands on thighs can be helpful here. And instead of elbows winging out, squeeze the elbows tighter to the body. That helps really connect to those muscles all along the back. Another inhale and fold with your exhale. Inhale back to standing. Really press through your feet as you reach up through your fingers. And exhale, hands to your heart. Do that again. Deep breath in. On the exhale, fold forward. Inhale to your half lift. Just one breath this time. Exhale, fold once again. Inhale back to standing. Reach up, maybe gaze up. Exhale, hands to the heart. Let's add a kneeling lunge. Deep breath in, reach high. Exhale, bow forward. Inhale, halfway. And then exhale, hands to the ground. Let's step the right foot back and lower that knee. Hands can begin on the front thigh. And take a moment to just keep your chest nice and proud. For this next one, actually, I'm going to have you swivel that back foot behind you. So your chest is going to turn a little bit more to the top corner of your mat. Keep your hips and chest stacked here, and we're going to lunge in toward the front leg. So a couple of things you might notice here. If you've got that front foot closer to you, as you lunge forward, you're going to feel more sensation in the ankle, and that's okay. If you want to try taking that foot a little longer away from the body, you'll be able to sink deeper and get more into the hips. So this is kind of a kneeling version of Warrior Two. Hands can stay on the hips. You can also float the arms over where your ankles would be and play with those lunges. Might feel good just to hold with the hips a little lower and forward. Couple breaths, either keep it moving or hold and breathe. Nice, we'll do one more on this side. And if you've got your blocks, you might use one or both toward the back of the mat. So if you're using both, you might stack them. If you've got one, find a setting that feels good, slightly in front of that back of the bottom arm shoulder. You're gonna straighten the front leg, turn the toes in the direction that your chest is facing. Top arm's gonna sweep up by your ear, and once the biceps by your ear, rotate from the chest, open toward the sky. Notice how it feels to press down through the pinky toe of the straight leg and really reach through that top pinky finger. See if you can squeeze your bum here, really press the front of the hips forward. Another breath. And on the inhale, you're gonna slowly rise to a half kneeling position. Use your core to tuck the arms. We're gonna rock back and forth between those shapes, moving slow and intentionally. When you're ready, tick-tock back to that variation of side plank. And as you breathe in, slowly rise using your core. Once more, nice. Lowering with control. And this time we're going to slowly rise back upright. And I'm just going to have you switch sides. So however you want to get there, you can come through kneeling. In order to face you, I'm just going to step my other foot forward. So remember, you've got back foot behind you like a kickstand, front knee tracking over the second and third toes. Hands might start on the hips as you start to lunge in toward that front leg. And you can do that a few times at your pace. And again, feel free to play around with the position of that front foot. Notice how it feels with the foot closer to you. It can be a nice stretch in the ankle. It can be a deeper stretch in the hips with the foot out a little farther. A couple more of those. Maybe the arms float wide. Chest stays tall. Couple more. And again, option to hold with the hips a little lower. One more time this side. And then if you're using blocks, you might need to bring the block to the other side of the mat. So again, find a height that feels good. And rather than hand underneath, you take the hand out in front so you've got a broader foundation. You're going to straighten the leg we were just lunging into and turn the toes in the direction of the chest. Top arm's going to reach up by your ear, and once the ears and bicep are together, rotate from the chest away from the earth. Squeeze the buns here, press the hips forward. Activate all those muscles along the back side as you stretch the top side of the body. And then doing your best to move with control. Slowly rise to that half kneeling position. Back arm reaches up, opening that side body. And then take your time, slowly rock back to where you started in that half plank variation. And plank rather, inhale, slowly rise. And take your time back down to where you started. We'll do that just one more time. With an inhale, lift up. And this time you're going to slowly lower back to a plank position. Again, blocks can be near the top of the mat. You might pause in a push-up here. You can always tap the knees and then lower all the way to the belly. As you land on the belly, let's find Sphinx pose. The forearms out in front like the number 11, elbows under your shoulders. Instead of collapsing your shoulder blades together here, press the arms into the earth and spread the shoulder blades at your back. Tops of the feet are actively pressing down as well. Notice how it feels to slide the chest forward using the arms on the earth. Another breath. And with an exhale, gently press back to downward facing dog once again. And actually, before you get into down dog, if you're using blocks, you might set them up on the tallest setting, about shoulder wide near the top of the mat. If you're using a chair, you can set it up near the top of the mat as well, or if you're by a wall, orient yourself near a wall. So from down dog, take a moment to just breathe there. And on the inhale, we're going to float the right leg up and back. Here's where you might open the hips away toward the long side of the mat with that top leg straight, or a bend in the knee. Next breath in, look forward. Step the foot between the hands, and then step the back foot in slightly as you rise upright. So feet are just a stride length apart. Hips and chest are facing forward. With an inhale, you can reach the arms all the way up and overhead. And on the exhale, hands to the heart and start to hinge at the hips, heart toward the toes. You might have a bend in this knee, that's okay, but do your best to keep pressing down through the big toe of the standing leg. Heart reaching forward, hips shifting back. Maybe the arms float by your sides with the palms facing the earth. Shoulder blades hugging together. Now you can stay here if you like. You can shift forward. So weight shifts in toward that front foot. If you're using blocks, hands can be on blocks here. You're going to start to float the back leg, toes flexing down toward the ground. So this should look similar to our bird dog at the beginning of class, just standing instead of kneeling. Notice how much weight you have in the hands. If you can, maybe come onto fingertips or simply lighten the load. Keep reaching through that back heel, lengthening through the top of the head. And it's okay to wiggle and wobble here. Do your best. You're going to slowly release into the forward fold. So feet can come together at the top of the mat. Hands might remain on blocks as you fold forward, or fingertips can float down toward the ground. Option for a half lift, flat back, heart reaching forward. And on the exhale, maybe you use your peace fingers to hook onto your big toes. You can take another halfway lift, heart reaching forward. And on the exhale, draw the crown of the head down toward the ground. Elbows can bow out wide. Maybe you nod a little. Yes, no, maybe so. And then you're going to slowly rise all the way to standing. Maybe uncurl through the spine. As you arrive, arms can reach all the way around and up. And exhale, hands to the heart. So take it back down to the ground. Inhale, reach up. On the exhale, fold forward. Inhale to your half lift, flat back. And as you exhale, hands come down, feet step back, maybe pause in your plank, and then lower with or without the knees all the way to the belly. Option for your Sphinx pose or another back bend. We'll hold and breathe there. Doing your best to pull the heart forward while sliding the shoulder blades down the back. Maybe a slight tuck in the tailbone if there's any crunching or that feeling of tenderness in the lumbar spine, low back area. Another breath. And then exhale back to downward facing dog. As you arrive, take a moment there, a nice long breath in, and even longer exhale. Next breath, lift the left leg up and back. Here's where you can turn the front of the hips open to the long side of the mat with the top leg straight, or bending at the knee. With an inhale, we're going to look forward, place the foot between the hands. You can step the back foot in and then slowly lift the chest. So again, feet are about a stride length apart. Instead of tightrope walking, widen your base. Hands can start on the hips with an inhale, lift the heart. You might also reach the arms all the way around and up. And then exhale, hands to heart center. Take another inhale to prepare, and then start to hinge at the hips with a nice flat back, pressing into that front big toe. Totally okay to have a micro bend in the front knee. Hands can stay at heart center or float by your sides. Shoulder blades squeeze together at your back. Another breath. And an option to shift from here into your warrior three. So hands can float out in front of you. Notice you're shifting forward rather than blocks underneath you. Give yourself space to shift your weight into that front foot. Maybe start to float the back leg and point the toes down toward the ground. So front of the hips turning down toward the earth. Heart lengthening forward, head lengthening forward. And again, notice how heavy you are in the hands. If there's any space to lighten the load, maybe you're on fingertips. Use those muscles along your back. driving the heel to the back wall. You're doing great. When you're ready to release, we're going to find that forward fold. So moving slow. Feet can be wide near the top of the mat. You can keep hands on blocks or fold all the way down to the ground. Another deep breath. From here, option for gorilla pose. You might slide your palms underneath your feet. You can bend your knees a lot to make this happen. With the toes all the way to the creases of the wrist. Maybe massage the wrists with the toes. Relax the head and neck. When you're ready to undo, do your hands one by one, and then slowly uncurl your way to standing. And as you arrive, maybe add some shoulder circles at the top. We're going to play with a squat next, and you might use blocks for support here, or if you've got firm pillows or a bolster, you can play with that too. So I'm going to start with 2 blocks. You might choose to use one or none at all, but you can create a little perch here. And when you're ready, you're going to sit down on your blocks, and feel free to do this in a chair too. You can play around. Notice how it feels. You can play around with the position of the feet, and then maybe use arms to press the legs open wider, and you're simultaneously squeezing the legs back into the arms. So feel that isometric hold. Pretend there's a string attached to the top of the head, and you're growing even taller here on the breaths in. And then you might play with a twist. You can slide one set of fingertips, squeezing the arm and leg together down toward the ground. The fingers don't have to touch. The opposite arm is going to peel open and find that rotation in the chest once again. You can gaze toward the top thumb. A few more full belly breaths. And then coming back to center, maybe hands to the heart for a moment, nice and tall in the spine. And then press the hands in toward the legs or arms into the legs and do the other side. So slide the other fingertips down toward the ground. Really squeeze arm and leg together. Use that connection to peel open the opposite direction. Heart stays lifted, chest is proud. Nice. And then from here, we're coming back to center. You might choose to hang out in the squat a little longer. You also have the option to come into a wide leg forward fold. You might take those blocks from underneath you and place them out in front, rotating the feet so they're parallel to one another, and then fold a little more deeply. You might take that halfway lift, and you can always play with blocks a little higher and shoulder wide. And then exhale, fold once again. This time, slowly lift the chest, and you can bring the feet a little closer together. You're going to come all the way onto your back, however you want to arrive. Maybe challenge yourself without the hands, and do your best to land softly. Once you're there, let's come all the way down onto our back. And if you've got a strap here, it might be useful. You can use a towel or a scarf, a tie, something might be helpful to extend your reach. So come down onto the ground with the feet on the earth, and we'll start with the right side. So you're going to take your strap, and you're going to lasso the ball of that foot. So instead of the arch of the foot, see if you can scooch the strap a little bit closer to the toes. And you can start with a strap in each hand here, lifting the heel up toward the sky. If you don't have a strap, you can hold the back of the hamstring here if that's helpful. And notice how it feels to lift the heel up and away from the body while flexing the toes toward your nose. You can stay here, gently pulling the feet a little closer to your face. And if you want more, maybe you slide the opposite leg out long. You can start to press down through that heel and lengthen the heel away from you. So one heel is going up toward the sky, the other heel may be lengthening away from the body. And although arms can be relatively straight here, if you feel more comfortable with elbows on the ground, you can do the same thing with the arms supported. So either or works. Couple breaths at center here. We're looking to feel a nice stretch primarily in the back of the leg that's lifted. And those nice long and slow breaths. You might choose to stay at center. If you've got a strap, you can take both sides of the strap into the same side of that lifted leg. Other arm might come to the hip or out wide to counter your balance like a T. You're going to use your outer hand to pull the leg out wide and then try to resist that movement. So your foot's trying to come back to your center line. And don't feel like you have to go so low wherever you need to be to feel the stretch. You're likely feeling that inside of the inner thigh working hard here. Couple breaths. And then slowly make your way back to center on an inhale. We're going to take both sides of the strap into the opposite hand. This time you're not going to go very far. So you might come just past your belly button. Back of the hips stay on the ground. So I'm not rolling all the way over here, keeping the back of the hips supported. And I'm pulling with my hand, the foot across the body. So feeling pressure on the pinky toe side. And my foot's trying to resist the strap. So actively working the outer hip muscles here, outer thigh. Sure to breathe along the way. And when you're ready, coming back to center, we're going to release. You can either bring both feet to the earth or you can switch sides by elevating the other foot and then bringing the top foot down to the ground. I'll give you a moment to get set up here. So again, you're sliding the strap maybe just behind the toes, closer to the ball of the foot. If you're holding onto the hamstring here or whatever's accessible, also great. And driving that top heel now up toward the sky, and toes are flexed toward the face. With that, you're going to slowly draw the toes closer to the nose by gently pulling on the strap. So notice how much you're gripping the strap. Doesn't have to be a death grip here. Just enough to feel some sensation along the back of your leg. And the leg can be bent here. You can still get a good stretch. It doesn't have to be. Try not to lock out that knee, actually. Focus on your long exhales. When you're ready, we're going to take both sides of the strap into the same side hand of the leg that's elevated. You might counter the balance with the other arm out wide. And then you're pulling with the strap. So feeling pressure on the big toe side of that foot. And your foot's trying to resist that movement. The foot's trying to come back to center. Feel the inner thigh muscles wake up. Maybe the elbow is on the ground, maybe not. That's okay too. Full breath. Using an inhale, we're going to rewind back to center, moving slow. Once your leg's at center, let's transfer both sides of the strap into the opposite hand. And again, we're going just past your midline. So toes stay flexed toward the face. You're pulling with the strap, feeling pressure on the pinky toe of the top foot. And foot's trying to come back toward its respective side. Outer hip and thigh muscles likely working a little harder here. Your best to continue to breathe. Clench the face, the jaw here, focusing. Notice where you can soften. Gently release, coming back to center. We're going to give the strap a break for now. So go ahead and just take your feet nice and wide, maybe as wide as your mat. And then we're going to switch the knees over to one side. Hands can rest on the ribs. And you can switch them over to the other side. A few more. This next one, option to stay, actually let's just stay on the back. You're going to bring feet a little closer together and then right knee in toward the right shoulder. You can use both hands here on the right leg or just the right hand. You're going to squeeze the knee in toward the shoulder and maybe straighten the other leg out long. Option to add more ankle circles. And then we're going to take it into a twist. So I like to release the right leg for a second here, bring that foot to the ground, shimmy the hips over to the right edge of the mat, and then take the right leg all the way across to the left side. So left hand might rest on that top outer thigh. Opposite arm can open wide like a T. You can gaze up at the sky or away from the knee. Those full breath. And also support that with a block. Also roll all the way to the left. You'll find the right shoulder blade likely lift off the earth. That's okay. We got a little more opening in the chest. So find what feels good in your body. You hold and breathe. Now make your way onto your back. Reset the spine. Momentarily bring the knees into your chest. Moving from side, or a few circles with your knee. And know how to keep holding on to the left leg with either one or both hands or arms. You're going to straighten the opposite leg if you like, and press that heel down. Take that bent knee out wide, long edge of the mat. Pressing the front of that hip, option for the ankle circle. When you're ready to make the twist, release that left leg for a second. To the hips a little bit. And then twist all the way to the right. And see what works with the arms here. You might keep the right hand resting on that top outer thigh, and opposite arm opening wide with the palm facing up. Your gaze can rotate away from the knees. You come back to encouraging those nice full belly breaths. You're also welcome to close your eyes for these next few moments. Really just tune back into the somatic experience. One more breath. And take your time with an inhale. Slowly reverse back to center. Option, bring knees in toward you once again. Maybe you do individual circles with the knees, so tracing the thigh bones around the hip sockets individually. And after a few times one way, you can spin the opposite direction. And you're welcome to close with happy baby. So most of you know how to take happy baby without a strap. If you have a strap and want to try what it looks like with a strap, I'll show you that option. You're going to take your feet wide and then create loops around your feet. So creating a loop around the foot here and then a loop around the other foot. And you want your feet nice and wide. And with that connection, start to pull the feet down to earth. Your piece doesn't want to stay today. Pull the feet down to earth while trying to press the feet up toward the sky. You might even use your elbows to press the knees open wider. And if you have your back nice and flat, you can add that rocking motion side to side. Take a few more moments in your happy baby. You can play around with straightening one leg, bending the other. Couple more breaths. And whenever you feel complete, if you're using the strap, feel free to ditch it. Last piece here, give yourself some love, curl into a tight little ball, give it everything you've got. And then exhale and release into your final Shavasana. Might choose to straighten the legs, arms by your sides. One more intentional breath. And let it go. I invite you to come back into the body. Take a moment to just scan, noticing any sensations, any changes, anywhere you can relax and release more deeply. Just allow your body to be completely heavy here. No, there's nothing more for you to do. Just soak up being in this present moment. I'll let you be in stillness and quiet. Let you know when our time is up. And if you have the time today, you're encouraged to stay here a little longer. It's that time to move on. Take a deep breath in. Start to wake up the body with some little movements, starting with the fingers, wrists, toes, and ankles. And maybe that full body stretch with the arms over the feet. And perhaps bending at the knees and starting to roll to your favorite side, taking a moment to just reset and register how you feel. And then take your time to make your way back through your seat. And you have the option to close out with one more breath all together. Go ahead and empty your lungs completely, and then inhale through the nose deeply and let the breath go. Thank you all so much for continuing to share your practice. Namaste.